Maybe eventually. Well, it was broadcasting. Let me know if you hear anything. I'm gonna text them.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. It's a little crazy around here. Did you get to studying this week?
I was actually busy with the exam. I
Same.
got the exam submitted at 10:45.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
Doing good, man.
What happened?
Oh, what happened? Oh, well, I was at a parking lot and someone T-boned me.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so hey, it was a fun experience, but I'm
You
glad
got
it's over.
How fast was it?
What was that?
How fast was it?
I think the person, she's going 40 kilometers an hour. So she sped up, and then what happened is that I was going straight to go to a store, and she T-boned me when she's coming out of the parking lot. So, yeah, that's just how it goes.
Canada uses
What was that?
Canada uses kilometers?
Kilometers, yeah, we do. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, man, everything's metric over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like metric better, that's for sure. Sorry for being late there, guys. Got a little caught up with things. But, man, so how did everybody do? How did everybody find the exam on Wednesday?
It was good.
Yeah, good. All right. So were you guys able to meet before the exam on Wednesday? I mean Tuesday.
Yes, I was brave and then I would call.
Nice. Okay, awesome. Good. Yeah, I would have been there, but there's something I just, yep, the car issue came up.
You had to be there. You were good.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, I guess for this one, guys, I kind of just reviewed over. I didn't completely do all of the work, like all of the homework and that. I did most of it, but I mostly just read through the homework, and I read through basically the lesson and everything. Like, were you guys able to get a lot of stuff done through the homework at all, or you had any questions at all, or?
I haven't really studied at all. My other class took a weird turn this last week.
Yeah,
We got put into groups, and I've been meeting with my group for like 2 hours every night.
Oh, wow. Frick.
To make like a 10-minute decision. But we were very thorough.
Wow, that is quite intense. Nice.
Hey, I'm gonna go drop my phone for an activity, but I'll come back and take me like 10 minutes.
What was that, Clinton?
gonna go grab my wife and I'll be back.
Oh, correct. Hold on just a sec, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna message it.
Sure. It's all right. Let's see if I can actually change the sound of my. Cool.
Brendan, did you say you had to go for a second?
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll see you when you get back.
Awesome. Well, I guess what we'll do, if you want, we can kind of review over the quiz, I guess. If you feel down with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, perfect. All right. All right, so I guess the first question is question number 3. Is it number 3? Yeah. All right, which hypotenuse involves equality? The null hypotenuse, the alternative hypotenuse, the true hypotenuse. So I believe that one would be the null hypotenuse.
Okay. I'm pulling up the textbook, but I'm good to go with that.
Sure. No, hey, we'll read the textbook together so we can kind of get this all together. Yeah, I have to go there too. Okay. Content. Let's go to visual preparation. Textbook. Yep, I believe that would be the answer. Because it does state, like, if you look just right below at step 1, and when it says the second Ethan and Alan, right at the bottom there, you'll see like in bolded words that it says the null hypotenuse. And it says, is a statement of the status quo or the value typically considered to be appropriate. Notice that the null hypotenuse is expressed with the statement involving equality bracket, equal bracket.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right, we're good. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, and I guess I can read that one again. It says, remember that the p-value is the probability of obtaining a sample statistic at least as extreme as the one that was actually observed. When computing the p-value, which hypotenuse do you assume to be true? All right, I actually have no idea about that one.
Hey, let's look in the book.
All right. Okay. Okay, I think I see it.
Okay.
All right, so it's just right below. It's in step 1 again. It's in the same location. So it states, it's like the last sentence that's just right before step 2. It says, when we conduct the hypotenuse test, we gather evidence against the requirement that the null hypotenuse is true. Actually, does that make sense? If we get enough evidence against the null hypotenuse, we reject it. If we do not have sufficient evidence against the null hypotenuse, we do not reject it. So when we test, assume, okay, there you go. It says when we test, it's it's just the sentence before that. When we test hypotenuse, we assume that the null hypotenuse is true. So I believe that one, yeah, that's exactly it. All right, so this part I do remember.
Okay.
So I believe this one actually would be the third one. You see how it says basically for the mean of the population, and then has the equal sign and it has that little line in between it?
Yes, not equal.
Yeah, so I think it's that one. I think it's the third one for number 5.
Okay.
And the reason why that is that it says, suppose the null hypotenuse is H0, sample population equals 100. Use this information to answer the next 3 questions. Which of the following represents an alternate hypotenuse for two-tailed tests? And I think it does describe that inside of the textbook.
Okay.
So yeah, if you actually look, just right, it says hypotenuse test for the true mean body temperature. So that is just located right at the bottom there, and we see null and alternative hypotenuse, and it's 4.1. You can actually see there, it says this is called the alternate hypotenuse. If 98.6 Fahrenheit is not the correct body temperature, then it is logical to propose that the following alternate hypotenuse. So you see how basically the alternative hypotenuse is HA ... the population equals 98.6. So I believe that's the alternative hypotenuse, and that's what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
That's wonderful.
good.
Okay. All right, question 6. You want to read that one, Wendy?
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll do the trade-off.
Okay, which of the following represents the alternate hypotenuse for a left-tailed test?
All right. So if you look just right below there, actually, you see how it has two-sided hypotenuse, two-tailed, one-sided hypotenuse, left-tailed, one-sided hypotenuse, right-tailed. So for that one, it's asking us. So yeah, I believe it would be the first one because it says left-tailed.
Okay.
Yeah, alternative hypotenuse for left-tailed test. Yep, I believe it would be that one. Be the first one.
Be the first one. Yep, I do.
Awesome. All right. Did you want to read the next one?
Sure. Remember that we can determine the outcome of a hypotenuse test by comparing the p-value to the level of satisfaction of the fish-looking symbol. Use this information to answer the next 3 questions. Which relationship would result in falling to reject the null hypotenuse?
Falling to reject the null hypotenuse. That is a good.
What is that? Is it an A? Like a Greek A?
Oh, so that one
symbol?
actually. When I did the research on it, it's that what they're trying to determine is that specific, well, what's called the level of significance. So that symbol.
Oh, okay.
It represents like a percentage that if the hypotenuse is true or not. So pretty much like when you're kind of grafting out like Wow, this is hard to explain. Frick. So when you're grafting out, like, for instance, you know how we make that graph and we have the z-scores, and then you figure out the probability. So when you're graphing that and you're figuring out probability, the level of significance is basically a probability that, wow, how can I describe this? Man, the textbook gives a perfect explanation. Frick. It's kind of hard, but how can I? Yeah, hold up. Gives a better explanation I can give. That's for sure. But anyways, when I was doing sort of the tests, it was just saying that it's a percentage that it's like 5% on each side of basically that probability graph. That it either basically the sample mean is either true or it's false. So that's what it's sort of getting at, is that it's using that 5% on each side of the equation. So basically from the right side of the equation, or the right tail, from the left tail, and it's that 5% that they're trying to figure out if basically if it's what it was saying beforehand in the quiz. And I'm gonna have to study a lot more. But what it's saying is that if the hypotenuse, if it's false or if it is true. So that's basically what it's stating. Hopefully I didn't like butcher that. I probably did, but I need to study more for sure. Yeah.
You did great. You did good.
All right. So for this one, I'm actually not completely sure about this question. So yeah, so there's an explanation at the bottom. It says the level of significance is the standard of determining whether or not the null hypotenuse should be rejected. Typically for level of significance, so that symbol, are 0.05 or 0.10. So those are percentages. If the p-value is less than the level of significance, then we reject the null. If the p-valuable, which the p-valuable is just basically the probability value, is not less than the level of significance, we've failed to reject the null. So it is a bit confusing, but yeah, that's the overall definition. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So for this one,
There's something that says if the P is low, reject the null. So is it? Oh, but that doesn't mean no. Never mind.
No worries. Hey, if it helps, that's great. So I think you see how it says in step 4.
Okay.
So if we look at step 4, we assume that the individual, it's step 4. Yeah, so it's in step 4. Is it? Yeah. Sorry, it's I'll give you a better location of where it is at. So there's so it's just after it's like you see where it says like verify the requirements that have been met.
Where it says what?
So it says verify the requirements that have been met. So just right below, so it's just right below 4.7, and it says work example body temperatures.
Yeah.
So just right below there, if you go all the way down to step 4, it sort of shows you the p-value equals 2.57552 times by 10 to the power of -11. and then it
Yes.
shows, and then you see how it shows 0.05 equals level of significance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that gives us a little bit of an explanation.
Just below that it says state your decision. So since the p-value is less than that null, we reject the null hypotenuse. That A thingy. So over here, if P is less than the A, so the second one.
Oh, so the second p-value for the question.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess that would if the okay, which relationship would result in failing to reject the null? Failing to reject. Yep, I guess. Yeah, I guess it says we reject the null, but it says but it doesn't say we fail. So is that the same thing? That is my question. Yeah.
I almost think it's like if you forget to fail it, so it's if you say the p-value is greater than. Oh, they're using tricky words.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. I think you may be right, or it could be the first one too. It could be the p-value is greater than the significance level. So it's either one of those. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Okay, what do you want to go for, Wendy?
What?
We'll do the guessing game. It's either I think it might be the first one.
I think you might be right.
Okay. All right.
Let's do the first one.
Oh, question number 8, Quentin. But hey, we'll go over the other ones if you want, my man. We'll review over them again.
We're just going to 9.
Okay, you good.
All right, so we came to the conclusion that it would be the p value is greater than the level of significance. You see the arrow, how it's going towards the that symbol? So we believe it's the first one. That would be the answer. Question
On 8.
On 8, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I got.
Perfect. And on 9, did you get B?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent.
All right, I'll read the next one. An insurance company is reviewing its current policy rates. When originally setting the rates, they believed that the average claim amount was $1,500. They are concerned that the true mean is actually higher than this. So, which of the following would be appropriate alternative hypotenuse? The average claim is equal to 1,500. The average claim amount is not equal to 1,500. The average claim amount is greater than 1,500. The average claim amount is less than 1,500. All right. Okay, I think that since it's the alternative hypotenuse, and it says that they believe, when originally setting the rates, they believe that the average claim amount was 1,500, right? And if we look in the textbook, the definition, I think it would be the average claim amount is greater than 1,500. Because that's the opposite, I believe. That's the alternative hypotenuse. And if we look at, like in the beginning in step 1, when it states the null hypotenuse is a statement that the status quo or the value typically is considered to be appropriate. So it's saying that that mean value is the right one, right? But if we went contrary to that, it would be the opposite. It would be, in contrast, the null hypotenuse, we write the alternative hypotenuse. This typically is the statement that a researcher suspects the actual truth. In our case, we suspect the mean weight of our tour boat passenger is greater than 140 pounds. So I think it would be that one. The average claim amount is greater than 1,500. I mean, I could be wrong, but what do you guys think?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
All right. And then and then number 11, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just which of the following would be the appropriate null hypotenuse, and it's saying that the average claim amount is equal to 1,500. So I think it would be that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Legit. All right. Who would like to read the next one?
I can read it.
Awesome.
Yeah, the inference company randomly selects n equals 40 with the sample if x equals $150, information to answer next to. The insurance company distribution of the sample and the normal. Is it I got the assumption that size is lower.
Yeah. I believe it would be that one too, because like in every kind of distribution, like if it's using 40, like a number like a 40 sample would always be it's a good assumption since the sample size is larger. Yeah, that's
Right.
what I believe it would be that one too.
And it's the same limit theory. That's the law. Was the answer.
Nice. Oh, the central limit theorem, eh?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Perfect. So so this one, I believe, so question 14. Wendy, would you like to read that one?
Sure. Which of the following is test statistics as defined in this lesson?
All right. So I did study this a little bit. I think what it's trying to state is that what is the statistic that we're using in this like lesson? So like what is the answer we're looking for? And for this one, I believe it actually would be Z, because so that's what I think it would be. All right.
It is. Okay.
Sweet. Okay. All right. So I can read the next one for you guys. Okay. The historical mean of sales receipts at the grocery store is 150 with a standard deviation of 40. The store manager suspects that the average has an increase. She sets up the hypotenuse test with the hypotenuse, those two ones. And then she will use the level of significance, 0.05. Then she takes a simple random sample of 36 sales receipts from her store and computes the sample as 144. All right. What is the z-score associated with the test? So I guess we would just be using the formula to figure this one out. So be z equals sample, take away from sample population, standard deviation, square root of how many sales receipts was there? 36. 36. All right. Standard deviation. So z equals all right, I got negative 0.9.
That is what I'm not saying, but that's like I'm doing it wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you type that up, man? Okay. I got 0.2, but I was confused. Yeah, I think, because I think like what I got is that I got the same one, but mine was negative 0.899. But I think when we're rounding up to the third 9, which is the third decimal place, right? So when we round that up to the next one, then it would basically automatically make the other one 9, right? So that's what I kind of think it's that way. All right. Sweet. Sounds good, man. All right. All right, so what is the p-value associated with the z-score from the previous question? Okay, so we just use that z-score and we compute it into the anomaly probability applet. So we can put that into that. And then, what is it asking us for? So the previous question was asking, it's less. Hold up, yeah. So hold up. The source suspects the average has decreased. So it'd be decreasing, right? So it would be the other side, which would be the z-score in the negative. So the normal probability applet, it would be 0.184. So it'd be that. So 0.184 would be the answer.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay.
I can wait for you.
Sweet. All right.
Okay, what interference would make would you null? What's this for? I got filter hypothesis.
Yeah, I believe it would be the same one because, like, your z-score isn't like completely distant still.
Yep.
So automatically, you don't feel it fails to reject the null hypotenuse because even if the average was the median average was 150, right? It still doesn't denote against it because it's still pretty close to that percentage. It's 18%, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think. Oh, well, my bad. Sorry. It'd be So the probability, if we look at the probability applet, it says that it'd be 18. Yep. That's right. Yep. Okay. I was getting a little confused there, but yep, that would be it. It'd be fail to reject the null hypotenuse. All right. What is your conclusion for this problem? All right.
That was sure.
Oh, what was that, man? Clinton?
Here, I'm typing it.
Okay. I think it'd be the second one.
Second one.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's how I agree to too, because we have sufficient evidence that the true. Yep. Exactly. I believe it would be that one. Okay. There are two types of errors that can be made when performing a hypotenuse test. Which one involves rejecting the null hypotenuse when the null hypotenuse is true? Now I have to look up that one. I'm not completely sure. All right. What do you guys think? Actually, I think I just, wow. Okay.
Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
No worries, I do the same thing. Yeah, I think it actually would be type 1 error. I just saw.
Yeah, I just found that too, type 1.
Yep, all right. So it'd be that one right there. Okay, who wants to read question 20?
I will.
Awesome.
A researcher decides that instead of using a level of significance of that symbol equals 0.05, he will use that OE symbol thing equals 0.01. Which of the following will be true?
Okay. Value probability is very small. Okay. So I think I figured it out. You guys see where it says, so it's just right below where the type 1 error.
Mm-hmm.
So just right below there, if we go a couple sentences down, it says if the value, if the level significance value, the probability of committing a type 1 error is very small, the probability of committing a type 2 error will be larger. So controversy, if the significance level is allowed to be very large, then the probability of committing type 2 error will be very small. So if we look at the question, it says, so researcher, instead of the level of significance is 0.05, he will use significance level of 0.0. Which of the following is true? The probability of a type 2 error will increase. Because since it's smaller, right, I think it'll increase. Because since it's smaller, right, I believe that'd be the answer. Controversy is loud. Yeah, so I think it would be that one. Do you guys think that's right? Yep, bingo. All right, we're good. Okay. And who would like to read the last one?
I can read it. That
Awesome.
Okay. I think that's me. U equals community committing a type.
And you said that one. I'm sorry, what did you say, Clinton?
I answer.
Oh, okay. So I believe, like, I kind of reviewed over the lesson. I think that would be 0.05, because if the significance level, which is actually the percentage, right, of basically the probability of committing like an error, if it basically is 0.05, it's saying if computing 0.05 the probability of committing a type error, I think it would be the same thing, because that's that the level of significance is purely the percentage of that like a mean can actually create an error. Like for instance, like a sample mean or a mean can create an error. I believe it would be 0.05. Unless I'm wrong. That could be true too.
Sorry. Okay, we got one question.
Oh, you already put it through? Oh, nice.
18 is wrong. Yeah.
Interesting. Hey. Well, I guess we all could hand it in. All right.
All right.
Okay. I mean, didn't our professor kind of, he didn't want us to kind of discuss after, right? Is that correct? Okay. Because I remember receiving, I just don't want to do anything wrong, that's all.
All right.
But anyways, we know that we did good, and for for 18, I'll leave that up to you guys.
Okay.
But hey, we got pretty much everything good.
All right.
All right. I'm sure you guys will be able to figure that one out.
Yep. All right.
Anyways, but last time I believe, guys, I actually had a problem when I was recording. Like it actually didn't record the whole thing. It was so weird because we all were inside of the session, and I think this was I think it was last week that we did the recording. It just didn't go through. I think it was on Thursday, which was really weird. But what I want to do is that I may give you guys a call back for another session. Just because I want to make sure that I actually recorded it through. And then the next session, if I can see if it actually processed it, then we'll be fine. You guys will be okay with that?
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. So I'm going to end it right now, and then I'll give you guys a call again.
Okay.